Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang alert, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
What's going on, Steve?
Doing well, Timothy. How are you?
Not bad. Was just listening to your rant before the show. Tire's good, though.
Yeah, you got to get it off your chest.
Makes me feel better about my life sometimes. Yep. Yeah, so we walked through your garden after the show yesterday. You're going to be gone next week, and I'm going to water for you. And I'm a little concerned because you have a huge amount of tomatoes that I think are going to be ready to pick. I'll be out there on the phone with you. Do I pick this one? Do I pick this one? There's a lot.
I'm happy. I'm excited.
You had 2 red ones out there yesterday. Because I have no red ones yet. So I was like, oh, but you're really, because I was like, yeah, you're going to have some tomatoes. But now I'm looking at like, you're going to have some serious tomatoes. But everything looks good.
Thank you, Rod.
It was fun walking around yesterday and just looking at everything. And then,
Some things we don't even know what it is. I lost the label.
yeah, you're like, I don't know what this thing is, but it was food. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, well, you had some nice summer squash. You had some cukes are coming. I picked some cukes last night. I had one that was like this long.
Was that the one that was sitting on top of the...
One of them, yeah. I left the other one there because it's like long, but it hasn't gotten like thick yet. So I was like,
that's why I left it there.
I figured I'll leave
the
it.
The length is good, but it just...
Yeah.
It's not thickening up.
So I got 4 last night that were nice, and then I have one pumpkin that was late starters. They were seeds and stuff, and I didn't pre-start them in the house, and I bet that thing's grown out like 3 feet now. I was like, wow, that's so hopefully later tonight I'll be able to go up and put some manure around some stuff. And I have some tomatoes that they're really like yellowy. They don't look great. The plant itself, I think it's getting too much sun, and I bought those UV things, but I haven't had a chance to.
I don't think that's not the sun. You might just have. They might be yellow tomatoes.
Well, not the tomato, but the plant itself.
Oh, the plant is.
Yeah.
It might be overwatered. Would it?
Well, usually it's either or. It can be overwatered or too much sun. I know my friends of mine that put those UV things up, and he showed the difference between the ones he had under UV blankets and the ones he didn't. And the garden was like gorgeous, big, green, really nice. And the stuff that wasn't was not as
nitrogen deficiency.
What the hell does
put
that
some
mean?
Fertilizer out.
Okay, well, that's easy to do.
Yeah, that's easy enough. What you need to do is not get the slow release. You need to get one that you just like diluted in water, so it gets into the roots immediately.
Okay.
And then probably because you got another couple months, so I put some dissolvable. There's names for it, but you got the slow release and you got the immediate. So you want the immediate, and then a couple days later, put the slow release, and it'll last it the rest of the season.
I picked up 2 things of Miracle Grow plant feed, vegetable feed, or like organic things from Home Depot that are on sale. I really need to go out because you just hook it to your hose. So I really should do that tonight. And then I still need to cut a couple trees down and try to get more sun in the back so that the stuff in the back will continue to be
Because I think that's what's slowing your beans down
Yeah.
on that back fence because
It's too wet.
Yeah, it's too wet.
So wet back there. Little things.
Because they're healthy looking, but they're not
Right.
really growing. It's almost like they're just kind of stunted there. And
Yeah.
that's the only thing. It's either the lack of sun because of the tree line, or a combination of lack of sun and water. I'm not a professional farmer. I'm just learning this stuff as I go. Obviously, I had to look up yellow leaves as nitrogen deficiency.
Yeah. So yeah, then
Do they
last
look like
night-
that? Like,
Yeah. Some of them just the bottom, which I think that's just a matter of trimming them back. But there's 2 or 3 that like the whole plant's starting to kind of look like that. So I was like,
yeah, get some fertilizer in there.
yeah, I'll have to hammer some fertilizer. Yeah, last night we left here from doing the show. I'm trying to think what I did yesterday, though, how it was just. So then we went to paint. So here, I'm going to show you a picture of my painters. So there's Lydia over here on the far side, and then this is Paige posing. And so they're painting. And I did some trim on the side. It was a piece I had to do. And they have, by the end of this, they have more paint on them, I think, than the house. So it's kind of funny. We went to, stopped at Yoshi's on the way back to get drinks because we were super thirsty. And my grandparents were there and walked over. And I said, yeah, they were helping me paint. I said, I think they were the paintbrush. And it was kind of funny, but I appreciate them. Lydia helped me tremendously in the last 2 days. We moved dirt again last night, and it was dark again. It sucks. It's getting dark at like
I looked
8.
tonight. It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So we worked to 8:30.
I mean, it's dwindling fast. 'Cause
Fast.
Just it seems like 3 weeks ago, I was out there to about 9:15, almost 9:30.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh man, like I hate that. I hate when honestly that's the worst part of winter is when it's 4 or 5 o'clock and it's dark.
Yeah, when John Paul comes,
That's the worst.
he's
That's
like,
it.
He's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, it's only 4:30.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's dark out. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, that's honestly for me like winter. Yeah, the cold sucks, the snow sucks, but the dark part when it's so early because it just sucks the life out of you. But so unfortunately, yeah, it's going pretty quick now, and luckily I have lights on the excavator. But I got so Andrew's gonna call today and have United bring me 4 loads of bank run sand to put where the house is, where the slab's going. So I'm hoping if everything goes well, that maybe end of next week I can put the slab in, so that way I can get.
So you use like a laser to make sure you got the right.
Yeah, so I'll have to. So right now I've been eyeing it as far as the depth, but I need to set a transit up later and just see where I am because I don't want to mess up like I did with my barn. I put my barn in, and ever since I put the barn there, I've hated it. I've been pissed at myself because I should have went 2 feet higher, because what happens now is I have to keep lowering the ground around it to keep that high so water doesn't get in and stuff. And I've done a pretty good job of tackling that, but I would have had a much less of an issue had I raised it up 2 feet. It's just little things like that you learn. So with the house, I don't want to make that mistake. So I don't want water to be coming off the road and flushing, and I don't want to do any of that. So I just have to shoot at it. Looks like it's pretty close, but it's been a lot of dirt moved.
It's looking
A
good
lot.
though. Even like
It is.
when we put the fence up the other day, like how you cleared that section out. I mean, it's
Yeah, it looks
starting
nice.
to
Yeah,
look
we're
like a homestead.
finally getting there.
But you know what I mean? Like right now, it's like you got a barn,
Yeah,
but with a pad coming in, and then you clearing out that section, and it just looks.
It's
Like
getting
it's got
there.
a little bit of a flow now.
yeah.
You
It's
got the
really
garden back there.
It's funny because originally when I started this project, the bank, like I'll have to show you a picture, and pictures don't do it justice, but what you see now, or even before I moved the dirt this year, is nothing compared to what it was. I had a big loader in there for like 4 days, and I worked night to day, or day to night, all day, from early in the morning to dark. One summer for like 4 days straight, just because I had this one piece of equipment that was big to move the dirt, and I had to take advantage of it, and I had my big excavator at that. I mean, so I moved a lot, and I moved it all out back where that flat section is past the garden, and that's all been filled in too. Like that was an angle, so there's a lot there. But I never thought, well, maybe I should move some in the front. But I never really intended on putting the house in the front originally until Eversource came and said, it'll be $10,000 to run power down to where you want your house, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, so now and I wanted underground, which would have made even more money. And there's all these little things like, screw this, let's just put the house up front. Let's just do that because it's easier. I won't have to deal with so much.
Yeah, well, when you win the
power
lottery,
issues
and
yeah, when I win the lottery,
build your house, and then it'll be chump
exactly.
change to Eversource because now it's probably twice that.
I know they're supposed to come out sometime in the next couple weeks to look at what we want to do and do it. Because basically, it's like just put a pole right here and run power to the pole, and then I'll have an electrician run underground power, which will be short at that point distance to the house and the garage. So getting there though, finally got enough dirt filled in last night where I'm like, all right, I think they can bring in sand. I'm going to keep. I still need to spend the rest of the week bringing more dirt in because I have more to do, but I at least can set it up. I got to shoot with a transit, and then I'll have my dad come out because he's really good. It's 30 by 60, and it needs to be square. It needs to be right. And so I'll have him come in because, like I said, it's those fine little details I'm not great with. Septic systems, I have a lot of experience with that. But making sure everything's a little square and everything's just right. My dad's good at that stuff, so I'll have him come out.
That's good though. And let's help your confidence because then you'll be able to help teach.
Yeah, as he helps, and we're gonna set the form. I want to make forms basically, and then a buddy owes me a favor. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm like, hey, and he's really good at concrete, so I'll put the rebar. I'll do all that. Just listen, the day I pour it, come out and just make it smooth for me. That's the biggest thing because that's the harder part for me too. Like I can do small concrete stuff. Like I'll do the stuff for the barn because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gonna be for the cows,
Right.
But this has to be perfect, square, straight. Everything's gonna be good, so that when they set it on there, it's all straight and good, and then we can build from there. But so it's been a long process, and it felt good though last night. I'm like, man, I'm almost there. Like, because it's been all summer, and I haven't had the opportunity to work there all summer because I've been doing. We have the show, we do the house I've been working on, which is winding down. I think I got like trim left to paint and a few little things to finish up, and so I'll be done with that this week, and then I can focus fully on that. But yeah, it's been a process, but definitely a huge shout out to Lydia for helping me the last 2 days, and then Paige helped last night too, and she helped paint yesterday too. So that's a huge help for me because if it wasn't for that, I would basically fill the dump truck, drive up, dump it, come back, and just now it's like they dump it, come back, and I can get more dirt, loosened up and stuff. So it's been working good, and you have to check it out before you leave because I've got so much more dirt now moved out of there. It's actually looking nice too because it's giving me more space behind the barn, which was the goal anyway. So
that's awesome. I'll come check it out for you.
Yeah, you have to check my garden out one more time before you leave just to see if you think anything needs to be adjusted. I had couple of those tomato plants
They're
holding
exploding.
them up. Yeah, and I'm like trying to hold them up.
And a lot of that's
so
suckers,
big.
but like I was telling you, I went through and I trimmed off some of the dying on the bottom, but I didn't trim off all the suckers because some of them already have flowers.
Right.
And it's like, man, you're going to get fruit on that, and we're so close to the end of the season, depending on when the frost is. Just let them go because even if they're not ripe before it frosts, you can cut them, put them in a paper bag. I did that last year. I ended up making sauce all the way into like the end of November.
Yeah. Oh, when you get back from Montana, you're gonna have a lot of sauce and stuff to make because I think you have a lot of tomatoes ready.
Yeah, I told Nikki I'll probably have a batch of cucumbers too. I said if you get like 20 or 30 of them, just put them in some ice water and put them in the fridge out in the garage.
Yeah.
And then I'll pickle them up. I'm going to try to do some bread and butter. I got regular bread and butter. I got some spicy. I just bought like mixes. And then my dill, I don't know if you noticed out in the garden, but I have one dill shoot that I'll be able to use my own homegrown dill for the dill pickles. So that's kinda cool.
Yeah.
And I wish my garlic, I don't think my garlic, because I didn't realize, because again, I'm learning all this. I'm supposed to plant it, so if we want to do garlic, we need to plant it in September, October.
Then it'll be good for
Yeah, so like if we plow it up or whatever, if we have time. If not, then what I'll do is I'll where the kale is, because kale should survive through the winter and keep producing. You know what I mean? So that little corner section, and we just take the tractor on the inside of it.
Yeah, we're gonna make your garden. We've got got a grass section out there that's pretty big. We're gonna
That's
smoke
pretty good
that
dirt
out.
too. Did you see the bird gourds are taking off?
Yeah, you've got some nice
I
squash
just,
stuff
I just
coming
cleared
on.
that out in the middle of that grass section. Did you see it? Like they're like your pumpkin. All of a sudden, 2 days ago, it shot out like 6 feet.
It's crazy that we water them every day, or when it needs it every day, which most of the summer's been every day or twice a day, and something with the rainwater. It just
Yeah, it's
because
just, it loves it.
rains and then like holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, what's the miracle cure that makes something grow faster? Clearly, it's
Something in the rain.
the rain. Maybe it's all the pollution. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it works.
Something's working with the rain.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
even the weed, well, it's grass, but the weeds are ridiculous. So that's my goal, is to make sure that everything is cleared out, or at least be short if I can't, where I can't get it. But
Yeah, mine. I still have to. I think I don't know. I'm hoping Andrew will weed some tonight because I've been moving dirt. So I literally just went up to the garden for like 5 minutes yesterday just to look at it and pick a couple cucumbers that were big. And because if you don't stay on top of the weeds, it becomes overbearing. and-
Overbearing. You spend your time on that.
yeah. So your potatoes are about
Yeah, they're
ready?
about ready.
I saw that. I was excited. They're all dying. So it's like, ooh, you gotta have a lot.
I hope so.
I gotta
But just
check.
that one batch, I mean, they were more like fingerling
Right.
potatoes, but I mean, they produced quite a few.
Yeah.
And those were store-bought
Right.
potatoes that started budding or whatever.
Yeah, I have some in the brine. I have to check. I have to remember this. Check later to see if they got sprouts on them yet.
Because now's the time to get them in there,
Yeah.
because it'll be right about 60 days. And even if they don't die all the way back, you'll have a bunch of fingerling potatoes.
Right. You'll still have Kevin and Michelle doing them in like 14 days. They're getting red potatoes, like size to where you could eat them. Like I was like, wow.
I got a lot of red potatoes out there. I got a whole row of the blue Adirondack because Nikki likes. It's got like a little nutty flavor or something. I think that's what the package says, but it's definitely a distinct flavor. And then almost a whole row of red potatoes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm jealous. You have a lot of potatoes. I have 4 rows of corn, and next year I want to do 8 rows of corn.
We were looking
And the
at my
rest of
corn, and my
potatoes.
corn's like,
You have one that's as tall as this mug right here that has a corn on it, and I'm like, what the hell? I've got corn that's I don't know, it's 4 feet tall now. It hasn't started yet.
but yours looks dark.
It looks
green
normal,
and
like the
healthy.
thick stalk, and
Right.
yeah, you've got a couple down there that have corn on them, but they're teeny. They're
Yeah, I don't know if that corn is going to actually taste good, or
probably the best corn ever.
hopefully. If not, I'll throw it out on the wood line and let the bears come up, fatten up on it.
Oh, my pigs will love that.
Oh yeah, I'll give it to the pigs.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll take like when stuff's done or when the cucumbers are toast, like I'll just give the vines to the pigs or whatever they eat. Like they'll eat that stuff. With goat will love it.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised a goat had gone. One day when I was over there working on the garden, the goat was up on the hill where the chicken coop used to be,
Yeah.
just wandering around up there eating all the.
She just goes wherever. We don't even. She's in the pen with the cows, but she can fit through, or she finds her way through, and she never wanders far. And it's funny because she doesn't. Usually, if you want to like, say you have a really tall section of lawn, you want to like mow down, get a goat. They say are goats. They'll eat it all up. She doesn't really. A little bit, but not like you would think. She doesn't eat through every little thing. She spends most of the time hanging out with the pigs, the cows. And
Yeah, she was in the pigs twice, and
Yeah.
I couldn't see how she got in there, so I let her out through the barn.
She's smart.
And then the next day I came over, she's back in there with the pigs.
She, half time I don't know how she does it. One day I saw her climbing under the fence. I was like, that's how you're getting in there. But there's been many times she just finds her way through, and it's funny. Yeah. Then we let Bella out on Sunday to get back outside because the heat has calmed down, and I hadn't got the shade up for her yet. So I want to have you brought her in for me. I just took a cup of grain, and she just followed me out. She was distracted for a minute. She's eating the grass on the outside.
But
then she came
there was
right in.
something out there that she liked
Yeah.
because
But it's
She didn't
funny.
follow me
She had all
as-
this green in the pen she's in, and she wouldn't eat it. But as we were doing the fence before I left for vacation, she's trying to eat from the outside there, and I'm like, what's wrong with what's right in here? But it's just funny. It must be that grass is greener on the other side kind of thing, you know. So
That's where the old adage comes from.
yeah, exactly. So a few town things. One thing I saw in here was thank you to the town of Newport and the Economic Corporation of Newport, Econ, for the beautiful benches that are on the common. I don't know if you noticed, but there's benches all around the common now. And
Well, I saw the slabs. You pointed the slabs out.
yeah, the benches are there now. And then this one, I have two pictures here, but this was with love and appreciation for the many years of service to Newport. Ella Casey, who was executive director of Newport for, I dare say, 30 plus years. Great lady. I don't know if she's still around here. I think she's like 90 or something, but great lady, huge contributor to Newport, and I'm so glad that they dedicated a bench to her. I think that's awesome. So there's a picture of that bench, and then there's just a picture of one of the benches. Maybe that's her bench there, but all around the common they have these now, and I think it's great. It looks great, and just some little thing for Newport. And I mean, we have a great common and everything as it is, but it's a little extra thing.
I love driving by the common. It just reminds me of the Revolution.
I've been this.
I say that every time I talk about it, but it just...
I've been to tons of places traveling, you know, like when I would go down south and stuff, and been through towns, and, you know, I just don't recall any towns like Newport, like with the commons and the downtown, and just, I don't know, it's just, for me, it's just such picturesque and just...
Well, you see it in, like, movies out
Right.
in the mountains of, like, Washington or something, you
Right.
know, with, like... But, I don't know, it's just awesome to live here. Like, Nikki and I, when we were driving home last night, and you could see, like, Mount Ascutney, I don't know, and the sky was, like, 38 different shades of, like, purple and orange. I mean, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, a friend of mine had a picture, I think it was from last night's Red Sox game he went to, him and his girlfriend or fiance, whatever, and someone took a picture of him, and so it's like the stadium, and then behind's the clouds and everything. It's just gorgeous red, pink, like
Yeah, it was
picturesque. Like
it was awesome last night. I was like, see, this is where I wanted to live. People come here to vacation, you know, and this, I just feel like I'm on vacation right now. Like, it's just so beautiful.
yeah, it is. It really is.
Like, for me, it's like I would equate it, Nikki in Hawaii is like me up here
Yeah.
in the mountains. Like, I feel like I'm more of a mountainous guy.
This is a nice area, you know. Like we talked before, we don't have poisonous snakes or spiders. We don't typically have, you know, tornadoes or hurricanes. I mean,
We don't have 14.5-foot long alligators.
no, that we could go shoot with bow and arrows and. Nope.
Yeah, leave that to my Texas relatives down there.
Leave that to your kinfolk down there
yeah,
in Texas.
Exactly.
And there was another thing from the Chamber of Commerce to thank you to the Newport Mixed Martial Arts for hosting the Business After Hours and ribbon cutting event last night. And it was great to see how you've transformed the space, which used to be the Family Dollar. And they got to watch some live demonstrations and classes. And so if you go on the Town of Newport's website, or not the website, the Town of Newport's Facebook page or the Chamber of Commerce, there's some pictures of that stuff too. And so those are cool Newport things that had happened.
That's in the Shaw's parking lot. And they
Shaw's
do
parking
more
lot.
than just mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it's like, actually, I mean, they got classes for mixed martial arts is a majority, but I think there's a
Right.
lot of different, you know, exercise type classes, and I've seen lots and lots and lots of people who have attended. So I think that's great. I think
So
that's
maybe I don't
a
pay
lot.
attention much, but Zeta and I went to Shaw's the other day, and when I was getting in the car, I noticed they moved the pharmacy over there next to it. Is that
That.
Zeta said that was like a couple months ago, but
Yeah, at least. I think It was
Really?
longer than that. Yeah, because the pharmacy was to the left, and now it's next to the liquor store, right?
yeah, or the
Yeah,
the,
it's just a bigger
the
area
restaurant
for them.
there.
Yeah, yeah, it's bigger, I guess. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So, yeah.
Shows you how much I pay attention.
I know.
I'm always on a mission, I guess. Get in, get out.
Well, I used to I was doing sewer and drain. I drove everywhere. And now it's funny because I'll be driving somewhere like, hey, when did they do the guardrails and the paving here? Or when did they do this? And
Well,
you
that's
know,
probably why I never realized it, because I'm too busy avoiding all the potholes that they filled with type 2 gravel or whatever. I don't know what they...
that shows. Yeah,
They didn't actually re-gravel it. They just filled it with some type of substrate or something.
So I'm wondering if they're getting ready to pave Stumpy Street, and I was told they're going to pave downtown Newport too. So
Yeah, we've been talking about that since
Yeah.
episode 2.
yeah, 'cause summer's cranking, we're August 10th now. So, but I did see some company up in front of Ruger's messing around with the sidewalk thing there. So I'm wondering if they're getting ready to, because last year they were supposed to pave Stumpy Street, and they did this half-ass skim coat kind of thing, which I'm sure that's what they're hired to do. Obviously, it's not the company's fault that, like, what is this? Like, waste of money. Like, it didn't seem to make it really any better. But I think from what I understood from rumor and people saying was they're going to pave that. I know my buddy who works at the state said they're paving downtown Newport because that's why they did the drainage earlier this year. And I see they dug something else out there too.
They were
so-
digging the other day. I think it
doing
was when you were
something
out of
else.
town. I wanted to go over there and look for the carriage because it was kind of in front of the. I didn't want, they wouldn't have found that funny if I'm like, hey, you guys find a carriage under there or a tunnel?
That's not funny, Steve.
But you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I don't know. I'm the guy that thinks I'm funny and being personable, and then people are like put off or whatever because I have a dry sense of humor. I'm sarcastic.
I'm so disappointed because
You know what I mean? Like I go up and say something, they're like, yeah, whatever, guy, get lost.
so my uncle and my grandfather and grandmother went to the car nut show at Patton's, and because I worked till dark. Cause
Is that where you got the video from? Because Nikki said on the Facebook page there was video from the car nuts, or is that just did you just link to something?
I probably shared it from something that somebody shared. But Chief was there
Yeah.
because it was the police, fire, first responder thing. So I was disappointed. I was like, man, I didn't get a chance to go see Chief, and unfortunately, it was, moving dirt. But I was like,
Yeah, sometimes you got to put some priorities.
yeah,
You know, set your priorities. Got to get that.
especially when winter's coming and I've got a lot to do still, so it's like, yeah. And then this Saturday, pancake breakfast, 7 to 9 at the Leominster Fire Department. It's $10 for adults, 7 for children. And then 4:30 to 7, I believe it was, they're doing a pulled pork dinner that night with mac and cheese, beans, coleslaw, and dessert. Same thing, $10.
Is that right off the main drag going down?
Yeah,
to
it's right
Leominster?
on the right-hand side there, right on Route 10. So, yeah, if you're looking to not cook dinner or breakfast and want to benefit a good cause, the breakfast was for the Fire Department Association to benefit, and the pulled pork dinner was for the Ladies Auxiliary. So, that's cool.
The ladies auxiliary.
The Ladies Auxiliary.
I'm just slowly say that was one of those ones where you talked really fast for a Texan here.
Auxiliary. Farmers Market.
It's like watching a British TV show. Sometimes I have to get acclimated to your fast talking.
Yeah, I'd rather listen to a British person than myself talking today.
No, but you know what I mean? You ever watch a British TV show and it takes
Yeah.
you 5 or 10 minutes before you're like, oh, okay, now I'm.
Did you ever
tuned
watch
in.
Mrs. Brown?
No.
Oh, my
I
God.
know what Mr. Brown is. Isn't that like an investigation?
No, so Mrs. Brown
Or
is
Father Brown?
this guy he's actually dressed up as an old lady, and he does a show, and it's kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire in a way,
Oh, okay.
but hilarious. You go on YouTube, like I've sat in a bathtub before and just watch video after video after video.
Well, there's a sight to behold.
I know.
Tank top Tim lying there in his, well, nothing. In the bubble
Birthday
bath.
suit, bubble bath, Mrs. Brown. It's hilarious. You have to check it out. So funny.
I'll check it out.
So funny. Yeah. From that note, Farmers Market every Friday, it's 3 to 6, in Concert on the Common this Sunday, 6 to 8. Brian Devenger. It's probably Devenger, but everyone's going to think it's some rock concert. I'm like, it's probably one old guy
Like a
singing
folk
folk
song.
music or something like that. And people are like, what is
Garrison
this?
Keeler type guy.
Yeah. Everybody was disappointed we hyped it all up, and they're like, wait, I thought this was like ZZ Top or something, Like, yeah,
It's good advertising.
it is. And
It's free advertising.
it's free advertising for the 3 people.
Go out and
that watch.
support Brian Devenger.
Devenger. We're going to see this guy someday, and he's going to punch us in the face.
Nah. All publicity is good publicity, right?
That's what they say. School board meeting this Thursday at 5. And, yeah. I went to Village yesterday for lunch. That's what I did. And some guy pulled up in a truck that had a state plate, so he was like I don't know, more likely a House of Representative person, but he was wearing a shirt. I almost went over to ask him his name because I'm like, I'm going to vote for this dude because he's wearing one of those shirts like "Don't Tread on Me" flag kind of thing on there, and I should have actually asked who he was because I'm like, well, I can vote for you. Probably find out it was his wife or something that was, I don't know, but yeah, I thought that was cool. All right, meme of the day. Of course, I've closed so many of these windows, I don't have to find it. Oh, there it is. It's not the clearest thing, but I saw this online. I was like, this is the meme for me that I used today. If you don't want to stand for the national anthem, perhaps you should give your legs to a veteran who lost his or hers. That way a real man can stand in your place. Amen.
Oh, wait,
It doesn't bother you as much as it does me, which I find bizarre, but like, I guess I feel like it's, if you don't stand for the national anthem, you don't take your hat off, you don't have to put your hand on your heart, but if you don't do that, the etiquette of it, me personally, I feel it's disrespectful to soldiers who fought and those who have died, protecting your country and standing for your freedom, and that's your way of acknowledging it and giving it back, I guess. And I've talked to a lot of people who have served, and some are like, after you stand, and then there are others like, I don't care, it doesn't bother me at all.
Like me,
it doesn't seem to bother you.
It doesn't bother me in the sense because it's almost like free speech, right? So now I know that what values this person espouses, for whatever they may be, but they don't care enough to take a minute and a half of silence. You know what I mean? Like, because when you serve, you're not going in and like, wow, man, people are going to put their hand over their heart and stand at attention. Like,
right.
I was taught to do that out of reverence, like what you're talking about, but also being on the other side and serving. It's also your right to free speech. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a sacred thing to me to where I want to like fight somebody or no. If you're sitting there and you're talking and
Yeah, being disrespectful.
Just, like, because the people around you, if they're standing there and they're honoring the national anthem, the flag, whatever they're choosing to honor for that minute and a half, minute 45, you're interrupting them and you're intruding on their space. But it's free country.
Yeah,
I don't agree with it, like, because we're taught as kids, hey, this is because it's part of our culture that we're all supposed to be proud of. Like, be proud of that flag. Be proud of what your ancestors have done, that if they've been here that long. And if not, be proud of the fact that you get to live in this awesome place where you have an opportunity to excel. But I'm not, it doesn't make me angry. And
I feel like
I wouldn't post that meme if I had social media. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, eh.
See, for me, it's like the one last little thing we have left in this country that they haven't stolen from us is the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance. Those like two things, I guess, that like patriotism in other countries is so normal. Like, that's like part of your life, right? Is patriotism to your country, whether you're from Canada, you're from Spain, or wherever. These people that live in those countries is patriotism. Like, this is my country. But in America, we've so got away from that, and I think that's what really gets me is there's no respect anymore for anything that anyone did, and these people that want to claim they're oppressed and whatever, and it's like, what? You should go to a place where there's actually oppression.
But then you now know, right? So it's not like free speech. Say whatever you want. It might offend me, but as long as you're not trying to pick a fight with me, as long as they're not fighting words,
yeah,
you can say whatever you want. Like, because then I know to choose whether or not to engage with you and on any level, and if I am going to engage on you, like where I need to come from, because now I know that you're a kneeler, you're disrespectful, you don't really care, so I'm not going to be able to relate to you in the sense of we have a shared common, love of country. So you don't care about the country that much, or in their mind, they may care about the country because they think that that's sending a message that they need to change. I don't know. don't get me wrong. I like with the National Football League, for instance, those players work for an organization that's owned by either a conglomerate or an individual. And if that individual says our policy is you stand or whatever,
Jerry Jones.
then you stand. You don't like.
Right.
That's a condition. Like if it's a condition of employment to follow the rules set forth by your employer, like you don't get to have your freedom of speech at that point.
There's actually
You can kneel, but then if you get fired for that, then that's the choice you made. So that's part like you don't get to half rear end your social commentary, right? So if you own it and you don't want to stand, and your owner tells you to stand, then if he fires you or she fires you or they fire you, then move out and be like, well, hey, you know what? I took a stand and blah blah blah, and I'm going to do this, but move away. Don't sit there and try to sue and say I have a freedom of speech. You do to an extent, but at this point, if it's
Right,
a condition of your employment,
they're employees, so it's different. Yeah, I love that because that was Jerry Jones that said that.
But then didn't he end up kneeling?
There was something he did that pissed people off. But there was actually this thing, I think it came out recently because I saw it on Facebook, was Mike Tomlin, who's the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, basically said to stand for the national anthem and keep your social BS off my field, basically, that we're here to play
because
football.
you're there to play football.
Exactly.
Right. That's your employment.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in the stands at another game and
Right.
you're not being paid to.
Right. You're at a college, you got
Because it's a
whatever.
business thing, right? Because think about the
Correct.
amount of money what could be lost by people boycotting. Like, well, you don't even respect. Why am I going to spend my hard-earned money when you don't even love your country? Because that's a lot of people equate it to.
And that's the biggest thing, too, that
So for me, it's more of if it's a condition of your employment and your boss tells you to stand, then quit or stand.
right.
And then if you don't stand and you get fired, then walk away with some dignity and respect, and don't try to sue them because of whatever. Like they made it known that this is how we do it. This is my take on it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or legally sound. That's just my own personal opinion. So again, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm not giving you any of my money or attention or time, which is why I don't really watch NFL.
Yeah, that was like my thing. Like, it's like we've had this conversation before because I do watch football, and I have a hard time with it a lot of times. Like, it's changed. Last year was a lot better. Year before that was freaking disgrace. And year before that, I think even. But like, I don't give the NFL a drop of money. I don't buy anything from ads I see on TV. So,
Well, you think you don't.
well, yeah, I mean, I buy whatever I typically buy, but the ad isn't what gets me, But now it's different with baseball because when I go to Red Sox games, I am giving them my money. And it's tough. I look up there and I see a sign, Black Lives Matter, and I'm like, it pisses me off. It's like, yeah, no kidding, Black Lives Matter.
I can't really. So when Zeta and I went to the Red Sox Astros game in 2018, I think it was the fall of 2018. I remember during the national anthem, 98% of the players stood there. They stopped what they were doing, but then there were like a few of them that didn't stop, and that might be because they're about to start pitching and they need to warm up, whatever. But I just remember I was impressed with how all of them came together for the both. I remember that specifically from the Red Sox Astros game, and so to go from that to making a positive impact on me and Zeta, because I remember afterwards I was like, man, that's pretty cool the way that they all just kind of like lined up in the middle of whatever they were doing and stopped what they were doing and put their hat over their heart. Most of them did. Some of them stood like a parade dress type of thing with their hat behind their
The most
back, but.
patriotic sport that I've seen, at least.
But I just want to be fair to the Red Sox and the Astros at that game. I remember specifically, and when I came home, I still talked about it. I think I even called when I talked to my mom and dad. I was like, it was really cool.
No, I watch baseball, I watch football, I watch hockey. I don't like basketball, just never have. I just never have. But I think hockey's probably the most patriotic. Like, they all stand for the national anthem. The Irish do it. If they play a Canadian team, they'll do the Canadian national anthem. Then I've never seen anyone kneel or any of that crap there. It's just they just kept that out of it, which is good. Keep politics out of sports. Play a fucking game. Like, You're supposed to be entertaining people. That's what people want.
Right.
We don't need to listen to your politics. I don't care about your politics. If you're the quarterback of some team or you're this or that, like, I don't care. And actually, I saw a quote the other day from Alice Cooper, who says, like, you have all these rock and roll people, like, oh, you need to vote this way or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, rock and roll's about freedom, and that's freedom of choice. And you're supposed to think like me. That's not freedom.
Right. That's kind of how I,
Yeah.
like with the flag kneeling, like you can do it, but
Yeah.
that now I know I am making a judgment about you, and that's fair. That's what we all do. That's a self-preservation thing. Is we see patterns, and we, I'm not going to walk down that dark alley with no lights in a city I don't know because you're just trained. That's just how through observation of the news, reading, and everything
Right.
else. So your mind's like, don't walk down that alley. Now, if you got to go down that alley, then you're going to be, your posture changes and you're more alert of your surroundings. So anyway, that's why with the whole kneeling, like you can kneel, but just realize that you're going to lose a large portion of people that, like some people can just not even care, like they just tune it out. It's like, whatever, it's just garbage. But you're right. You're there to play football. I get that you're a person and everything else, and that's fine. You have your close group of friends, and they're like, I have a platform, which I understand that too. You have a platform, but whenever half the people or whatever the percentage is rejects your platform, don't sit there and start, trying to ist everybody because no, like we just have different values and morals. Mine differ from yours, so I don't respect you anymore because you've talked too much. Before I was like, man, you're an awesome athlete, you're clutch, everything else, and then you start talking, just like us on here. They're like, oh, I thought Steve was a nice, quiet guy, but he's got some whatever opinions. But now you know whether or not to laugh at my jokes when I ask you if you found a carriage underneath the street. Call back. Anyway, I pontificate too much on this stuff. But you get my point, right?
I get your point. Yeah, no.
Do whatever you want so that we can all figure out who you really are.
Exactly.
That's my take on it.
Then you can remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Flipped us off when they drove by. Georgia father was forced off an airplane the other day. So apparently for violating federal law is what they're saying. So an Atlanta native and his daughter were flying back to Georgia after spending time at Disney World when something very unexpected happened. So according to WSB TV, Christine and Rihanna, I guess, Rose, were forced off a Frontier flight because Rihanna sat on Christine's lap instead of in her assigned seat. And so there's a law that if your child is 24 months, yes, everyone's like, yeah, it makes sense. 24-year-old sitting on her dad's lap. No. 24-month-olds would sit in her seat. So I guess the child was just being a small child, was nervous and was fussy, and so she was sitting on her dad's lap, and she was 25 months, 1 month past the cutoff, so they kicked him off the plane. Said it is an FAA requirement that all passengers over the age of 24 months must be buckled into their own seat for takeoff and landing. The parent refused to comply and therefore asked to exit the aircraft with the child. And after getting kicked off Frontier flight, he purchased a Delta flight, and the next morning she was allowed to sit on his lap. So, yeah. Think about the things you need to worry about in your life and fight for in your life, and you have a 25-month-old that is uncomfortable flying and wants to sit on your lap, buckled in.
I would have said she was born a month premature, so she's really only 24 months.
Right,
like I don't know. I have
not
no
talking a
patience for people
4-year-old.
that can't.
Right. And
maybe they don't have the I don't know. That just seems weird.
nobody knows.
Yeah, like
I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. And then
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
yeah, and you have all these flights canceled over the weekend. Like the whole air thing has gone to crap. Most likely because they can't get pilots because they fired most of them when they
didn't fire them. They offered
they-
them early retirement.
Well, they offered them early retirement, and then they told the ones that wouldn't get vaccinated that they didn't want to have a job anymore. So that happened too. And now we can't figure out why we're having issues, but no one will connect the dots, apparently. Just like why we have shortages of doctors and nurses. Well, at least 20% of your staff quit because they weren't going to get a shot. So there's that. It's funny how we create these problems, not me and you, but people create their own problems and then cry about it and don't understand how it happened because you created the problem, you idiot.
Well, that's most things in life. That's like, why isn't anybody tuning in to watch football? Well, you let them overstep their bounds instead of keeping them as entertainers on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they don't have a right to their opinion or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, you took the risk to let your politics be known. And so some people will support you and other people, that's life. I mean, some people might not like you because you wear a tank top and you have a goatee.
Oh, well.
Do you care?
Nope. Sucks to
Exactly.
be them.
Exactly. If you go to me, like, I don't know, just like me not wanting to give my money to the sports leagues because, I don't know. I'll tell you this much. I watched every Astros game from like 2004 once I got back. So, let's just say 2005 to like 2018 or 19. I bought the package, everything else. I have freed up so much time in my life to do things that don't require me to sit in front of a television. You know what I mean? Like, it's freeing, which, I don't know. That's just my take on it. Talked about it enough.
So let's talk about another
Everybody can start judging me on all my opinions. I've been
ridiculous. I find it harder and harder and harder every show not to just use the language I always use, which slippery.
No, you can't.
I'm sick of holding back on things.
Yeah, but you can't really get too upset. Like, this stuff is going to play out, and we're either going to end up on the better side of,
Yeah, in a way, it's like nature and how nature has a way of taking care of itself, so the weak don't survive and the strong do. I mean,
survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Call of the wild.
So nearly
5th grade, Mrs. Schaefer,
30 civil rights
my
and
teacher.
health groups. She is still alive.
I think so.
Not
She was the
saying-
one that the only thing I ever knew about her was that she was from New Orleans because she
you
taught us
talked
how to
about her.
pronounce it. New Orleans.
It's
But
not-
she also taught us Call of the Wild, survival of the fittest.
So, nearly 30 civil rights and health groups
Watching me have the book wrong.
urged the USDA to combat dietary racism by including soy milk options in public schools lunches. So now milk is racist.
Wait,
Racism.
how do they equate not offering soy
Oh,
milk to
here we
racism?
go. Nearly 30 self-described civil rights and health groups have written a letter to the U.S. Department of Agriculture asking to combat dietary racism by including soy milk as an alternative to cow milk in its national school lunch program. The letter claims that fluid milk from cows, which the USDA considers a vital component to wholesome meals, is not a viable option to many Black, Hispanic, or Native American school children who experience lactose intolerance at much higher rates than whites. If Black Lives Matter, so does our health and nutrition. But the National School Lunch Program has consistently failed children of color, said Milton Mills of Washington, D.C., urgent care physician. Either school children drink milk they're given and suffer in class while they're trying to learn, or they go without the nutritional significant portion of meal. So,
Well, that's so I'm pretty sure that's genetically, like, certain people can handle milk better than others. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. My problem with this is they say that it's racist. How about just saying, hey, it's not. Have we thought about the kids, because there's a large portion of, what are the statistics on how many people are lactose intolerant? 'Cause
Well,
it's not.
when I was a kid, it was like hardly any, and now all of a sudden, like everybody's allergic to nuts, lactose intolerant, fiber issue, all these issues, right? Like it just doesn't come out of thin air. But I've never heard of Black, Hispanics, or Native Americans having issue with milk.
So I just looked it up. This is on milkprocon.org. So I don't know anything about this, but East Asians are 90 to 100% lactose intolerant. Indigenous, so Native Americans, 80 to 100%. So only 20% can handle milk. Central Asian, 80%. African Americans, 75%. So there's.
So you're going to tell me 75% of 75% of Black Americans can't eat ice cream?
So
That's lactose.
So so this is written to get you fired up. What I would say is, I've known that there are not necessarily by race, but when you started reading that, I've known because I've seen a special on it. So there was a certain point in time where, and even like with me, I would consider myself lactose intolerant now that I'm older. Like there's more to this than just it being racist. And so, is soy milk even the best option?
No, I'm sure it's not.
Right. I mean, they have almond milk somehow. I mean, there's all different types of, but you can also get Lactaid, right, where it takes out the lactose from milk. Like, I feel like this is written to get people angry at each other, to divide, and like how we always talk about. So I can get on board with offering more than just plain milk. But how about lactose free? Because soy is not necessarily got a reputation for being good for you because it's got a lot of estrogen in it.
Oh, that's probably what they want. That makes sense now.
Well, I'm not going that far, but what I'm saying is this is written to get people angry at white people, or white people angry at other races because of the way that it's worded. So they should write and say it's not a racist thing. It's not. Let's be better and realize that because I've seen something like, I don't know where that what Milk Procon is, but I've seen shows on this. Is what I'm saying. I have a lot of useless information that I go down rabbit holes, and I mean this goes way back, thousands of years ago with the domestication of animals and all that kind of stuff, and so it's not. I don't think that it's a racist thing. I think it's
obviously
as we've progressed as a society and we have more and more immigration and different races, because this was a European country when it was first founded, right? So it was, and so now we're the melting pot. We just need to account for the other people in the melting pot. Like even French are lactose intolerant. Germans, 15%.
I don't see anything on 51% for Hispanic.
Yeah, so it's.
But it's suddenly an issue. It's never been an issue for 40 years, but.
Well, maybe it was never brought up. Maybe, this might be one of those things to where it does bother kids, and my whole thing is why soy milk?
I wish we had more time, because if we had more time, I would call some freaking school up in an inner city where it has a majority of Black or Hispanic kids and be like, how many kids in the school have issues with the milk? Just to like actually, see it real. And then they might be like, yeah, half our school
You'd have to
can't
call
have
more
it.
than one.
But yeah, and then they'd be like, half our school actually has issues, and then I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, it's not racist. That's just ridiculous. But okay, then I get behind it.
Well, that's my point. Is like I can get behind. Let's give more options. I'm all for that because I don't like white milk.
Racist.
No, like Zeta, I felt bad for her when she was a kid because some families only drink milk with dinner, or like not even offer her water, and so she goes to these houses and then because we don't drink a lot of milk.
See, I love milk. It's like Andrew doesn't like milk.
Like we're not milk drinkers. Like I'm that's just who we are. But you know what I mean. So like I don't think it's a race thing. It's a it's a culture thing, and in this case, let's look at it. But why soy milk? Why not almond milk? Why not? I mean, there's like oat milk. There's all kinds of different
All genetically
made up,
modified
yeah,
stuff
all made
that's
up types of milk that
so
they
good
have
for
out there.
you.
It's not milk, but
Yeah.
I don't know how hard it is to do like Lactaid, where
Keep
they
it-
take the lactose out.
It's funny that they're worried about this though, but they're not worried about McDonald's and the crap they give your kids, or not just McDonald's. Let's not just pick on McDonald's. Fast food restaurants. Not concerned about that though, huh? Nah, let's be concerned about that.
No, well, from this point, so we know a lot of kids get, this is their main meals, like breakfast and lunch at school, unfortunately.
That's true.
And so we should give them. So I don't like this goes into the whole, there's an agenda here, and it's not just, hey, let's be more diverse with our milk offerings. It's, well, you're racist because you only serve white and chocolate milk. Well,
Dietary
how does that
racism.
make me, like, this is the first I'm hearing about it, for instance, right? You know what I mean? Like, so you're judging me because of this option, but we have new technology, so let's make it better. Let's see if we can make it cost effective. That's my whole point. Is like I agree we should provide more options because I don't like milk to begin with, and so I can get on board with it. But whenever you start insulting me and assuming you know things about, me or the system or whatever. Now, if they have documents that say we're going to make sure that only white kids are able to drink milk, which that would be a racist policy, right? Like,
Yeah, I'd be pissed about that.
this was milk is healthy, it gives you nutrients, like there's benefits to milk. All right, so we're progressing now. We've got more information. We can do more polling, and we find out, hey, you're upsetting these kids' stomachs every day, and this is like their main source. Let's give them some different options.
Maybe the school's getting kickback from toilet paper companies for making them
Well, yeah.
drink white milk.
I get your facetiousness, but so I'm okay with providing different options. Soy milk is not one that I would choose just because of whenever I went vegan for 6 months to try to prevent kidney stones.
Which
I
didn't
did
work.
my research, and I ended up drinking the fake almond milk, whatever they make that out of. But I did not go with soy milk. Just
Nah.
because it's got estrogen, I didn't want to walk around with man boobs. And that doesn't happen with everybody, but that's the side effect if you drink too much soy. Like, and then somebody be like, "That's an old wives' tale," but
Oh yeah. No.
10 years ago when I looked it up, whenever I stopped, well, you know what I mean? Because I tried to change my diet up because if you want to be healthy, look at your diet, look at your exercise routine. That's the first thing that you need to choose, not a magical pill or anything else. It's the discipline to know what's good for you. So in this case, I agree. We need to provide more options. I don't agree with the way that they're writing their articles up to try to divide society because this isn't. Most common sense people will say, "All right, well, let's provide an option." And then each individual school should be able to know because if somebody's suffering, they should at least have gone to the nurse. So the nurse should have some like data points to say, "Hey, well, about 20% of the kids throughout the year have come in here with stomach issues after breakfast or lunch." And so, you buy 20% less milk and you replace it with Lactaid or is that what it's called, right?
Yeah, there's something.
But there's something where you can get the lactose removed from it.
Yeah,
And so you're still getting the nutrients, or let the parents go and say to the school board, "Hey, my kids are getting sick. Can we provide this? This is what I want my kid to have. Is there a way to get it, or provide them with an option so they don't get an upset stomach every day?"
Listen, if this comes up to the school board, I'm blaming you fully for it, and you're taking the whole charge on.
You get what I'm saying, right? It's
I
the
get what you're
article that's trying to divide people instead of uniting us to like take care of kids that are our own. I'm speaking. I don't know.
I got you.
I disagree with the way the article's written because it's divisive.
I'm sure. Like I have no concern that you think milk's racist, because that's just stupid. And I don't think Steve Morrison thinks.
But this
stupid,
goes back
so-
to what we're talking about. When you read something, use some discernment. Like, do you really think people are like, "Oh, let's punish all these other races and make them drink milk"? Or are they like, "This is the way it's been since we started providing school lunches in
Right.
the 50s or whatever, and let's work on our supply chain"?
How?
provide something better. But again, I'm suspect of soy milk.
And if we knew better, we may find that some cities in the United States, their
Already
schools
offer?
provide different milk
Right.
because they know about this, and we don't up here because New Hampshire's 94% white or something, I don't know, whatever. Which doesn't make us racist. It's just
It's just a
it is what it is. Like Jesus, like I don't get it.
I don't know. You can find.
I'm sorry.
You can find articles about the problem with our, with our.
I mean, Jamaica's 99.99% black, so that's their fault. They don't have white people there. Like, come on. I've heard that before from people. Like, well, you live in a state with. I'm like, and how's that my problem? Like, yeah. Okay. So, I know I'm just gonna give this story again for tomorrow because it's not as important as these other little things. And these are just, this one here is just a little headline. I know how much you love me just doing little headlines. But as crime rates soar, you know, skyrocket, I should say, New York governor attempts to improve public safety by changing law so that inmates will now be referred to as incarcerated individuals because it could hurt their feelings, maybe if they're called inmate. You're starting to wonder if the last governor who was a pedo or whatever he was,
Well, he
alleged whatever. You know, it's like the devil you know,
No,
the devil
it
you
was sexual
don't.
harassment.
Sexual harassment.
That's what it was.
You start like, it seems like it just gets worse. Like, so she's not, as of now, anyways, sexually harassing anybody, but these poor,
That you know.
these poor prisoners are called inmates. That's so offensive.
Hey, George Carlin did a whole thing on softening up language to.
I tell you what, you don't want to be an inmate? Don't break the law. Then you won't have to worry about it.
A person confined to an institution such as a prison or hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patient, inpatient, hospital case, convalescent, resident, inhabitant, occupant, prisoner, convict, captive, detainee, internee. You could also, archaic version of it is one of several occupants of a house.
Yeah. So as crime soars in her state, as
Wait, what's she going to call them again? Incarcerated individual?
yeah, she's probably gonna call you a birthing parent or person as well because you can't be a mom anymore. You're a birthing person. Although females are the only ones that give birth, but you know, let's change words. Let's this whole survival of the fittest thing. Like we're watching the whole country self-destruct from inside from idiots like this. Like seriously.
I mean, let's. Yeah.
The crime in New York is blown through the roof, and this jackass wants to change the name.
Well, I feel like here's the whole thing: is number one, who cares at this point? They're prisoners, they're inmates.
They have no rights. They're prisoners.
The definition of it is a person confined to an institution.
Right. You know why she wants to change it? Biden set precedent. Recession's no longer recession. We could change it. So we're just going to change words to make everybody happy. Because Democrats care more about protecting criminals than they do innocent people like me and you and kids in schools. And that's what they care about. Which is weird because they don't get to vote in prison. So I don't
You
know.
say Democrats. She happens to be a Democrat. I would say the
Left?
Uniparty. Because what are there, quote unquote, Republicans fighting against her for this? You know what I mean?
No,
like,
they're
are there?
not wasting their time because it's such a stupid thing.
Well, that's the The other thing is like this is a deflection of to get us talking about this instead of probably something else that she's done wrong.
Well, Mayor Adams is going to send some New Yorkers to Texas to
protest
against Abbott as New York City crime rates blow through the roof because the ex-police officer, chief, or whatever he was, mayor, who's a laughing stock of New York City, where crime is blown through the roof again, is too busy worried about what's happening in red states that actually are doing fairly well.
Well, they're sending again. They're just sending illegal aliens deeper into the country instead of sending them back across the border.
Yeah, I'd be telling these people that get on the bus to go to DC, and I'd be sending their ass to Guatemala. Yeah, at least you got a little bit of a delay before they come back here. That's a few miles.
Yeah, they probably have buses. I mean, you see pictures anyway. Yeah, I don't really know what to believe anymore. You know, depending on you had. It's just bad. Like we give too much free stuff away. So yeah, I always go back to Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, because the majority of Social Security, if you're going to the doctor, because you got to have a supplemental on top of, you know what I mean? Like most of that money goes back to big pharma, or or the
Well, Social
insurance
Security is
companies.
your money you paid in
Right, like
to a BS system that has screwed you because you could have made way more money if you did it yourself. That they say is going to go broke, and I've been hearing that since I was a kid. So for 20 years.
well, they're
more than
always
20 years.
borrowing against it, but
Right.
I don't know. My whole take on it is that it's a distraction. It's silly, and if I were a New Yorker, I'd be like, "Why are you giving a care about this? How about you fix this, 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 and this?"
Yeah, we should fix your roads that are impassable. When you charge like $25 to go over the George Washington Bridge each way.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So I got this other thing. It's more about the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. And just kind of breaks down some of the stuff. So what is the $433 billion act, which that's just part of it. I think it's $433 billion plus the $369 billion, which is for the energy and climate efforts. So, all right, let's look at this in the grand scheme of things. We're in a recession, even though you changed the word, and gas prices are super high. Still $2 more than they were.
Yeah, so that's the total, and that's everything broken down beneath it, right?
No, because
So that's 300 on
There's
energy
300
and
billion,
climate efforts, and then
369.
these are all the energy and climate efforts, right? Or no?
it's these two combined. It was 700 and something billion.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. But this is what the
Because those numbers don't add up.
no, it's just a meme thing they put up. No, it was 700 and something billion. I know this number was right because I remember seeing it. But so this is their big grand scheme. They're gonna fix inflation, and this is where a lot of this money at least is going. So 369 billion on energy and climate efforts. So okay, that's going to fix the economy somehow. Over 300 billion in green loan guarantees. 80 billion to double the number of IRS agents to conduct audits. So
At this point, if you're going to get a job working for the IRS, come on, man.
scum of the earth. 60 billion for environmental justice incentives. Environmental justice. 9 billion in tax credits for wealthy families to buy electric vehicles.
See, this goes back to what I was saying.
One-sided.
Whenever you look at stuff,
Yeah.
like that's an adjective there. That's like, is it only? It's probably not just for wealthy families. What they're trying to imply is
I have
that-
something here I'll say in a second. 6.2 billion to conserve coastal habitats and 1.5 billion to plant trees. So you can't afford to feed your family right now, and we're going to spend 1.5 billion to plant freaking trees because we don't have enough trees in the United States. How many trees can you plant for $1.5 billion? What's a tree seed?
I don't know. I got a
I watched
bunch.
this
I got a
thing-
bunch of free acorns right here.
I watched this woman the other day.
I can go pick up those acorns and probably
There's this woman.
I can have 1,000
Yeah.
seedlings for you come
Yeah.
April.
Well, if you call the government up and say, "Hey, I'll sell you some seeds. Maybe we can make some money here." Because
Yeah, I should do that. Go out there and get me
so part of the
the acorn scooper out.
I gotta try to find it again. Here we go.
So why? So
All right. So for the 9 billion in tax credits for wealthy families, and obviously it didn't say that in the bill, and this was Fox News. But the reason is so most so there's a tax credit. there's a up to $7,500 tax credit if you buy an electric vehicle. But here we go. Most electric vehicles won't qualify for the tax credits established by the tax and spending plan recently passed by Democrats in the Senate, according to the Associated Press Tuesday. So that's obviously left-leaning, so it's not some biased thing. Most electric vehicles...
Well, it's biased to the left. But
Yeah, right. But proves our point more. Won't qualify for the $7,500 tax credit for the new EV established in the climate spending provisions of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. In order to qualify for the credit, new electric vehicles must have batteries manufactured in North America, with at least 40% of its metals mined or recycled from North America. Those rules become much stricter in a few years, so it's going to be even harder. So it just makes me wonder, and then so basically to buy one of these vehicles, that's why they're saying you have to be wealthy, because you're going to have to buy maybe a Tesla or something that's $200,000 or whatever.
no, Tesla makes don't they have like a $40,000 car now?
Yeah, but it probably doesn't have a battery in it that's, So where's the money go that they put in here?
So the green loan guarantees, that'll go to the
Solar and
big
all this.
business.
Yes, that's all big business.
You and I won't get much. Like if we were like, hey, we want to start a solar company, maybe we would, but then they would end up probably charging us for fraud when it fails because
Right.
people, it's not an affordable option. I called up. There was a solar company here in town. I don't know if they moved or shut down or whatever, but my pump runs on solar, and I didn't really get a lesson on it. There's not a handbook, and then the guy didn't return my call, the business card who installed it, that moved to New York. So anyway, I called that company. They're like, well, you can't afford it because we'll have to send out a master electrician, and that's going to cost you thousands of dollars for him to walk you through that. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I won't be using that, until I teach myself the ins and outs of solar energy, which I'm still trying to figure out 2 years later. It's just, it's a math problem, but I guess that would be a physics problem. Where do you study that? Is that physics?
I don't know.
Some type of science. Well, yeah, you got to figure out all the watts and hertz and ohms and everything else to make sure you're not overloading or underloading the battery based on what you're going to be using it for. Like that's what I really wanted to make sure was do I have too much or not enough, because the alarm kept going off on it.
Yeah, there's also this other thing. I saw a meme and I didn't take it, but it shows a lithium place where they mine the lithium, and there's all these acid baths that and a bird landed in it and immediately died because it's so bad. They're trying to sell you something that is all flowers and daisies, but reality is.
Well, when I was younger, strip mining.
Yeah, they banned that.
Yeah, but that's what they got to do to get all the parts for the. We talked about the other day, the young kids that are basically
little slaves in Africa.
Little slaves to get you your electric car.
Yeah. That's okay though. That's okay to the left. They feel better as they drive their electric car because they care so much about those.
They just tune that out.
Unprivileged children.
Are we believing? Is that fake news? I mean, can that be debunked? That's who's mining? No, it's not all kids, but I'm pretty sure there are kids in those mines because that's been the story for decades since I can remember. Is that
Nestle chocolate's been? This is a huge thing. Steve Smith goes on all the time. Is Nestle chocolate literally uses slave labor in Africa, whatever it is, for this chocolate they use. Proven, 100% proven. But if everyone really cared about it in this country or any place, they'd say, I'm not going to buy anything they make anymore, and they'll go out of business, and that'll be the end of that. Just like the pedos in freaking Hollywood stop buying their movies, stop going to the movies, just end it, be done with it. It's like, we're done. You'll send a message. They'll go out of business. They'll all be broke. And they'll be the ones on welfare begging for the government's help because they got nothing else to do. So stand up and just be like, no, we're done. Because at the end of the day, we the people control it all. We have to unify, and this is what they constantly try to do, is divide us.
I mean, you can go out there and find, things that we enjoy that as a $8 or $15 purchase, or even maybe less than that at the grocery store or the department store. There are people on the front lines because middlemen take all the money that they're making pennies on the dollar per day.
Yep.
I mean, we're starting to sound like, hippie liberals here, but at the end of the day, it's not fair. It's not good for them. Like I got it. We have, but we're just lucky. We drew,
So
the good straw when we were born. We were fortunate enough to be born in America. At least you and I are, and the other people who get here. So we should use that, like you said, Steve Smith does, like boycott Hershey. If
No,
they're using slave
Nestle.
labor. Oh, Nestle. Sorry,
Nestle.
Nestle.
Nestle. No, I get sued for wrong words.
I will
Nestle.
go throw away my Nestle Quick.
Nestle.
This probably has no chocolate in it, by the way. The Nestle Quick.
No, I doubt it. No.
Because if we do drink milk in the Morris household, it's chocolate milk.
I don't have a problem with that. I love chocolate milk. So here's something kind of really scary. Or is it scary, interesting, weird? Don't know. The IRS just spent $700,000 on ammo, and obviously now they're adding 87,000 new enforcement agents. But what does the IRS need ammo for? Like the tax accountant people. What do they need ammo for?
Well, I'm sure they have some investigators that.
But I'm wondering, maybe we're being too negative about the story. Maybe the people bought $700,000 in ammo so that people like us, when they audit us and they find that we're like, oh, you did everything right, maybe the gift for that would be like, here's a couple boxes of ammo. Maybe that's what it is. Nah, probably not. All right, so I have this little cool video. I have to find it again because things move. Here we go. Check this out. This is like definitely a good. So I have a positive view after this, but this is kind of a very positive little video. At the end of the day, so all the doom and gloom in the world. This is it's not all bad everywhere. So check this out.
Oh, look out.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. Wow, that is a tough kid right there.
Hey, Jarvis, and hit his helmet.
So this is really cool because as a pitcher, Bubs looks shaken up right now because of what he did. And look at Zay Jarvis. This is such great sportsmanship. He wants him to know that it's okay, that he'll be fine.
Hey, bud. Look at me. Look at me. You're all right.
Amazing.
You're all right. Look at me. Hey, look. You can do it.
What a stud right there. Zay Jarvis.
That is awesome. That's pretty cool. I saw that yesterday. I was like, that's a cool little. I found that on YouTube, and obviously that was a game that was on ESPN, one of the ESPN channels. They've got like 100 or something, but
At the Little League World Series.
maybe it was part of it at one point. I don't.
They look a little older than.
Well, I said Little League, so yeah, the Little League kids. That's just cool, Like the pitcher's all upset, he just hit the kid, and that kid went over and like, hey, it's all right, it's baseball. It's just that's good sportsmanship, and that's the positivity that we all need.
Yeah, mistakes happen. He didn't get
No.
to the idea that he was trying to hit him, and it probably made him feel a little good knowing that, all right, he didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we react in anger and fear and strike out, and
Yeah. Young player, throwing ball, just part of it. But I thought that was awesome, the whole sportsmanship of that, and just that is what most of our
I would've
world
tagged
is,
him
our
out.
country is. Right. You're right.
He's out of the baseline.
Now I feel a lot better.
I'd have been up in that stands. He's out of the baseline. I didn't see timeout called.
All right.
I'm kidding, by the way.
Positive meme of the day. My favorite thing about the United States, lots of Americans, one America, and that's one thing we need to get back to. We need to stop letting these politicians and these woke people and these corporations and the media
Well, yeah, with
divide
stories
us.
like the one we talked about. Like,
Mhm.
let's fix the milk problem. Like, I have no qualm. I don't want anybody with an upset stomach. I don't like having an upset. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, yeah. But that article is like the quintessential divide us, because it's all about racism, and it's not just about let's evolve and adapt now, because we know that we have the science that shows that it's not like some made up thing. You know what I mean? And like you said, though, there's probably some schools that have already recognized that and provide alternatives if it's that bad. Maybe some don't, and maybe the government's like, no, we're paying you to get milk, right? Like, so maybe they lose some funds, or they're not getting coverage because it might cost more for oat milk or
I'm sure.
bottled water. I don't know.
So,
But that's, we're one America, so that's why, I think most of us would agree, like, oh, you need an alternative? Let's do it. Let's figure it out.
yeah, don't make it about racism, because it's just not. It's just something they're trying to push. Because they know if we all come together,
Yeah,
the game's over.
right,
and they're
exactly.
done.
When people are like reasonableists, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, let's fix that.
And I think about it,
They're like, wait, what? You want to fix it?
they still
Yeah.
you'll have more and more and more people now, but you have I showed you a video earlier of a black lieutenant governor from North Carolina, and I'd love to have played on the show, but it's 12 minutes long. It's just too long for our show. But he was at like CPAC in Texas, Dallas, Texas, doing a speech, and everything he said was just like perfectly spot on. But what the left would say is, well, he's not a real black person. He's racist even though he's black, because he's not going with what we're saying.
Well, see, I don't think that's a lot of people. I think that's people who
The
have
left.
a voice in the media on the
Yes,
left.
right. So
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if we were to go up to somebody that we knew that they were
It's
liberals,
changing.
I don't think they'd be like, well, he's a black racist. I think that's, again, goes back to the divide and conquer. Instead
Exactly.
of just realizing that we can all have
and I feel like it looks
similar
so,
beliefs no matter.
but I feel like it looks so bad right now. But the reality is, I really, really, honestly believe that people are starting to wake up, and they're really starting to realize, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because this is not America, and this is not okay, and this is not anything. Like, if anything, this whole administration that's doing everything now, if anything, they're just guaranteeing themselves they'll never be back in power, because look how horrible it's been, and all the laws they break, and all the things they decide to, yeah, we'll prosecute this person, we won't prosecute that person, we'll just do whatever the hell we want. Like, that's the perfect example right there. Like, no.
Yeah, because the disparities come from those in power, not from guys like me and you, or like,
Right.
It's because, like, I can agree to disagree with somebody and be just fine and be like, well,
Yeah.
On this case, I won't go to them if I need help, or if I have whatever. I don't know if I have a solution to our disagreement. Maybe.
No, the perfect.
But you know what I mean? Like, you can agree to disagree on things.
Yeah.
You can walk away and be like, well, let me go do some more research, because you did bring up some good points, and
Yeah.
and sometimes you got to admit when you're wrong and not just worry about coming out the winner.
True story. Oh, so our background yesterday, or pictures that Zeta took. I have two more, I think, for today that Zeta took around New Hampshire through her travels this summer and stuff. So
Yeah, so they're all New Hampshire.
yeah. So we'll put those up as well. And yeah, cool.
She was proud to see that yesterday. I showed her.
Nice.
She was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
That is cool.
But that's the one that we had at the second half of the show yesterday. You can't really see the Jeep in it, but that's a beautiful sky.
It is. It is. It's really cool. Love your shirt. Fauci lied.
Yeah, allegedly.
There's no allegedly. All right, guys. If we don't see you around town, we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.